We're in front of the Bank of America at Powell and Market in San Francisco, right there. Myself and David
Kubrin.
David was so inspired to remove himself from banks by what the banks have been doing, that he and Ellen put together a little dramatization outside this bank today as part of the Valentines Day action, break up with Bank of America. Why were you inspired to do that? You, by the way, were the bad guy. You were the banker.
Yes.
And then she was breaking up with you.
Correct.
I just videoed that, so
Yes.
let's take a look at it.
I've been an activist for some time. About 40 years ago, I realized that the issue of the environment was central to all other issues. That unless we have a planet that's habitable, I don't care how much racial justice we have, how much class justice we have, unless we have a planet that we can live on, air that we can breathe, water we can drink, the other is meaningless. And I've been part of Occupy San Francisco since early October. One of the women members said she wanted to form a working group within Occupy San Francisco to work on environmental justice. Then Ellen came to our first meeting and she talked about what they were doing in New York, breaking up with the banks over their environmental crimes.
They're actually doing that today on Valentine's Day 2012.
Yes. So Bank of America is simply one of many big banks that just do unspeakable things to the planet. And you know, they've been doing it for decades, and we've sort of been looking the other way and pretending it wasn't that big a crime. And with the crashing of the economy and these phony mortgage deals and everything, their crimes against humanity are just too many and too obvious to ignore at this point.
You're looking not just at one bank. You had money in U.S. Bank, you told me.
Yes.
Fairly recently, you took all your money out of that bank, or some of your money out of that bank too. How do you see them as complicit in environmental degradation? How are they supporting that financially?
They're loaning money to all sorts of environmental thugs, essentially, that are raping the planet. If you read some details about how they do this fracking, they're injecting highly, highly toxic fluids under pressure into the planet, into the soil, into the rocks. It seems like a form of rape, and it's funded by the banks. If you're going to do a multi-billion-dollar project, whether it's nuclear energy or fracking or mountaintop removal, these corporations don't have the money to do that themselves. They have to borrow. That borrowing gives them authorization and the wherewithal to carry out their crimes.
And they're borrowing the money from these banks?
Yes.
All of them?
Yes.
Citibank, Citigroup, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase,
Goldman Sachs.
That's where they're getting the loans for all of this murder of Mother Earth that they're engaged in.
Yes.
So it's really the murder of Mother Earth that is your key concern about this.
Yeah.
All right.
It's something I write about a lot. My research been along those lines, and so it's been a central concern for me as a person, as a parent, as a grandparent. You know, will my grandchildren have a planet to live on? Mm-hmm. It's at least bit healthy. Mm-hmm. And that's an open question. We don't have a lot of time left before so many habitats will collapse.
And they're sort of in the process now. Going straight to the money source, the banks, is a really good idea.
Uh-huh.
Was that part of your plan?
Ellen, who I'm in the skit with, was the one who came to the first meeting. She says, I have an idea. Mm-hmm. Taking her idea, I then sat down and wrote a skit for the two of us to do.
Oh, did you write that skit?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I came up with the idea of the broken heart. And about four of us made the heart. Mm-hmm. Derek and Ellen and Ruth and me. And so I was sort of following on what they came up with in New York. It made sense. It was theatrical. It was dramatic. It was right on the money, if you'll choose the expression, in terms of what the banks are up to.
Let me get you in your banker's outfit here. Yes. Buttoning the jacket, that's always something very bankerish to do. Yes. Nice.
Here, I'll make it even better. Oh, it's only a 10. You know, and the crime of the century is that these banks crashed the world economy, not just the U.S. economy,
Right.
to the tune of walking away with, I think I saw the figure, no one knows what the real figure is, but something like $16 trillion. Now that money was not burned. Someone pocketed much or most of that, or all of it. And now they go to the U.S. and to Greece and to Portugal and to Spain and say, oh, you guys can't afford your schools and your clinics and your roads because you're not flush anymore. Yeah, we're not flush. You ripped us off. So the unbelievable gall of them, these banks, to rip us off in 2008 and then to come to us and say, you can't afford your schools and your clinics.
Unbelievable gall is the perfect way to describe that.
It's unthinkable what they're doing.
And Greece is in flames. Athens is in flames today because of this.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about the Greek debt is, I think it's Goldman Sachs who went to Greece in either the 90s or the early part of this century and said, we got a thing we could do with you where you could raise all sorts of cash and do this, that, and the other thing. It was their idea to float those loans. They sort of pushed it on the government, and then they point the finger of blame and say, oh, you guys are overextended. Yeah, thanks to you.
Yeah. And they're removing pensions and jobs and social services. I heard today that the homeless population in Greece is just exploding. They have homeless people all over the street. David, thank you so much.